Welcome to the first Tuesday vlog, and my intention on Tuesdays is to introduce some guests, some old friends of mine, to talk about some of the issues around nutrition, diet, food preparation, recipes, and health and well-being. And I'm about to introduce to you a very special friend of mine, Keith Martin, a chiropractor in Belfast, but he's more than that. Why this area? Well, obviously the health and exercise area is huge. This is just a bit about my journey and the 30 years experience I have. A couple of things from me. I've taught myself to have maybe 5-6 meals a day. Have a fasted walk in the morning and straight away have something to eat, and then try and eat every 2.5 hours or so after that, smaller meals. But more about that later in this. Also, I've cut out white things, and we'll develop this in this episode, but things like white rice, white pasta, white potatoes, I've just cut them out of my diet, and I have larger portions of protein now than carbohydrate. I'm not on an Atkins diet. I just watch myself and try and cut down on processed foods and sugary drinks and sugary foods. So just trying to live a slightly healthier lifestyle, but without having what I want on the odd occasion, like a steak and a bag of chips and maybe the odd bar of chocolate, and certainly a pint of beer now and again. But lots more of that to come in future Tuesdays. But here's the first Tuesday and a special guest. I'd like to introduce to you one of my best mates. This is Keith Martin. Say hello, Keith.
Hi guys.
Don't ask me how I started all this, mate, but I was out for one of my walks one day, and we've had a good response, and please get in touch. So this one is an introduction to Keith Martin, who's he's a chiropractor, but he's a lot more than... You're right on the road on this health and well-being journey, if you like, and you're a big advocate of it, aren't you?
Yeah, very much so. I think I suppose my focus in chiropractic really changed several years ago whenever I realised that there was more to the chiropractic than just treating pain and back pain and neck pain and headaches. That actually is very much, the central nervous system is very much part of and how it controls the whole body. So if your nervous system is working properly, everything works properly behind that. So there's many more health implications than just back pain and neck pain as such.
So I've just been talking about general habits, tips you can do to just get into a healthier lifestyle. Things like steps in a day, just going off for a walk. Keeping an eye on your sleep, what you eat after a certain time, setting some targets, little habits here and there. You got any personal habits that you would rank up as some of your top ones?
Yeah, I think fundamentally your eating habits are central to everything. So a healthy breakfast in the morning is very important. People would say that if you had a little bit of protein first thing in the morning, that helps to kickstart your metabolism slightly better than if you're eating a high carbohydrate breakfast. And I also try to exercise. We would try and say to people to walk for 20 to 30 minutes every day. Yep, 20 to 30 minutes every day. Because your body needs exercise, like it needs vitamin D, like it needs vitamin A. Your body needs exercise to actually function properly as part of its physiology. So eating well and having a balanced diet, and trying to avoid, it's a lot of more trying to avoid temptations that come to us rather than having habits. You and I were talking earlier on about white bread, white sugar. Trying to avoid those things are really, really critical in your health and well-being.
Well, let's touch on that one now, because it's not one I have mentioned, but one of my choices that I decided was to cut out some white things. So in that, white potatoes, white rice, white pasta, white bread. And I've cut that out, and now I find them a bit stodgy, Keith, and I don't need them, and in fact I don't quite like them anymore. I mean, can you explain a little bit more why that is? What are the negatives about those white things?
It really goes back to, if you go back in time, back to us genetically, we weren't designed to eat refined sugars, refined bread, so the paleo diet has taken a lot of, it's become very popular over the last while, and it's kind of eating what is natural, what grows in the ground, and what occurs naturally, the less processed stuff is, the better it is for you. So really it's a genetic thing why it's bad for you, because we're not genetically designed to deal with that stuff, whereas we are genetically designed to deal with carrots and lettuce
and more organic things.
More organic stuff, yeah. Absolutely.
And the body, if you do put some refined things into it that may be a little bit toxic or alien to the body, what is it that the body does?
The body tries to get rid of it. So the more stuff you throw at it, the harder it finds to deal with that. So your body inherently wants to lose that. Sugar being the classic example of an excessive sugar, it gets stored as fat, because your body doesn't know what else to do with it, so it just converts it into fat. I sent you, well, we were talking earlier on about a report in the New York Times there recently that they were saying that the sugar industry has actually been found guilty, or been back as far as the 60s, of actually trying to hide the fact that it was related to heart disease way back then, and kind of shoved the blame on the fat. And then we had that whole low fat phase, and then the diet's low fat this and low fat that. Sugar became the accepted norm, and in fact sugar is very, very much central to a lot of diseases that are both chronic and inflammatory diseases. Like we would in our clinic very much say to people, if you're coming in, to look at what sugar you're taking, because it has got an inflammatory response, and if you've got an inflammatory condition, all it's going to do is fuel that. It's going to make your healing time a lot slower.
Now, as you can see, Keith is extremely knowledgeable, and there's lots and lots to talk about here. But we're not saying that right away you have to go and cut everything out of your diet. I think some of the things you can do, you can maybe, like I give up the white stuff. Keith said earlier, drop your eating of crisps, for example, as one. Stop taking sugar in your tea, which takes a bit of a while, but you do break a habit. There's other little things that you can do, and I think this is huge in what we can explore. But there's lots more to come from Keith. I wanted to introduce him to this. Where we're going to finish off, Keith, is that you were talking to me earlier about the 6 factors that affect your health, that you sort of, it's your mantra, if you like, your clients, your friends, your family, you yourself, how you live your life. Can you share with us that we're going to explore a little bit further in later vlogs those 6 factors?
Yeah, sure. So the 6 factors are pretty basic, pretty straightforward. First one is your personal hygiene. So again, that's pretty self-explanatory. Yeah, smell good. The second one would be the amount and quality of your sleep. It's very important for everyone that they should be getting about 8 hours worth of sleep. Again, for us in the clinic, sleep's critical. That's when your body heals and repairs. So it's critical that our practice members get some sleep. The other one is, next one would be your chemical life. And again, that's everything that goes into your stomach, everything that goes onto your skin, and everything that you inhale, basically the air quality that you're thinking. So that all affects your health. And your emotional life, we touched on that earlier on, we were talking about that, can have a massive effect on your health and well-being, and you could talk for hours and days on that in itself. And then you've got your physical stresses, so your posture, your work posture, your sleeping posture, old injuries that you might have had, your exercise that you do or you don't do. And then the last one, which is again what we were very interested in, is your spinal health. So if your spine's in good shape, you'll be in good shape. If your spine's not in good shape, you tend to find then your nervous system isn't working properly. And if your nervous system isn't working properly, then you're just not functioning as optimally as you can.
There's a good chance, if you're 30, 40, 50, 60 something, 40 somethings, this blog is about, then your back isn't in the best of health. If you played a lot of sport, you've worked a long part of your life, then that's the case. If you're carrying a bit of excess weight, if you're not in the greatest physical condition. So that's going to be an extremely important one for us to discuss, Keith. Just while we're on the physical stress, if you haven't seen it, have a look out for the BBC iPlayer, Obesity, the Autopsy, the first televised autopsy. I think everybody should watch it. It just blew me away. It's a little bit gory, it's not for the faint-hearted, but it would really give you an idea, and I'll leave it at that. If you want to have a look at it, have a look at it. But for now, there's an introduction to Mr. Keith Martin, legend in my lifetime, and you'll be hearing a lot more from him. Thanks, Keith.
No problem. Thanks for having me.